Meanwhile, in the town of Restenford, on the Lendore Isles,
This sea trip has been a bad omen. First we get attacked by pirates. Then we get hit by a storm, and almost get shipwrecked.
Ophelia, I am going to kill that wizard that hired us as guards to escort him to these islands, then fires us, and does not pay us enough for a return trip home.
Henri, I am sorry. The fault is mine. I should have negotiated additional fees to cover our return trip home.
Emily, it is not your fault. Usually patrons will continue employing their guards after escorting them to their destination. Ralf, you are fidgeting. Are you okay?
I hate escort quests.
Hello and greetings, lovely person. This is RPGmodsFan, and in this video, I will be reviewing and discussing the Dungeons & Dragons module L1, The Secret of Bone Hill, which was written by Leonard Lakofka and published by TSR in 1981. Len Lakofka is also famous for writing the Leomon's Tiny Hut column in Dragon Magazine from issue number 30, October 1979, to issue number 108, April 1986. This module was meant for player characters between the levels of 2 to 4. This module was written for AD&D 1st edition rules. I do not think the Dungeon Master will need to do too much work to convert it to 5th edition rules. In the late 70s, Len Lakofka was showcasing and DMing his Lendore Isles series at Gen Con events. In 1980, Len submitted to TSR 3 modules that became the L series, which are also known as the Lendore Isles series. The L1, The Secret of Bone Hill module, is the first module in the L series. The L2, The Assassin's Knot, was the second module and was published in 1983. However, the third module in the series was not published for almost 2 decades. The problem was the power struggle that was occurring at TSR. By the end of 1985, Gary Gygax was ousted from the company he co-founded. Following the 1985 departure of Gary Gygax, the backstabbing, cursed, degenerate Lorraine Williams purposefully cut out Gygax's friends and supporters from TSR. Thus, the third Lendore Isles adventure was never published by TSR. Over the years, the original L3 module was either lost or destroyed. After acquiring TSR, Wizards of the Coast asked Len Lakofka for his copy of the L3 module, which he sent. Then the editors at Wizards asked Len to do some changes to it, which he did. Then, believe it or not, Wizards of the Coast lost Len's edited version of the L3 module. Instead of going back to Len, the developers at Wizards of the Coast wrote and published their own version of the L3 module. The L3 Deep Dwarven Dwelve module was finally published in August 1999 as part of the Silver Anniversary Collector's Edition boxed set. In 2009, Len Lakofka released the 4th installment of the Lendore Isles series called Devil Spawn on the dragonsfoot.org's website as a free download. Funny thing is, the L4 module says it can be used as a sequel to the L1 and L2 modules. However, it makes no mention or acknowledgement of the L3 module. L4 was followed up with L5 in 2013. L5 is set in the town of Croton, but is split up among 4 books. The first is a campaign guide. The second is the adventure book. The third is a campaign companion. And the fourth is a map pack for L5. All are available for free on dragonsfoot.org's website. Originally, Lakofka set the Lendore Isles in his own campaign world. Because the Lendore Isles is a set of islands, it should be relatively easy to place it in most campaign worlds. Officially, the Lendore Isles were placed in the southeast of the Flanass continent in the world of Greyhawk. This was the first time that someone other than Gary Gygax added to the world of Greyhawk. The L1 module was an unusual AD&D module for its time. It had a very detailed description of the town of Frestenford, and also details the wilderness area nearby. Most modules at the time were dungeon crawls. The adventure starts with the player characters in Frestenford. If the Dungeon Master wants to give the player characters a reason to go to and be in Frestenford, here are two of my suggestions. First, have the player characters start at level 1. A mage wants to set up shop in Frestenford, but is too cheap to hire seasoned adventurers. So, he or she hires the player characters as guards and henchmen instead. The mage was a former student of Peltar who was a wizard residing in Frestenford. On their sea journey to the Lendore Isles, the Dungeon Master can throw in 1 or 2 pirate encounters. These encounters are primarily meant to get the player characters to 2nd level. Once they reach Frestenford, the ungrateful mage then terminates the player character's employment, and now they have to look for work. Or, alternatively, have the player characters get shipwrecked near the town of Frestenford. Frestenford is a fishing port along the banks of the Reston River, and is primarily a community of fishermen and farmers. The player characters should quickly learn the major locations in Frestenford, including the castle where the Baron and his family resides, Falco's Tavern, the Inn of the Dying Minotaur, Tavern of the West Wind, and the Abbey of Falcon. Of course, there are also shops to be found, but they are too numerous to mention here. Displayed is another isometric view of Frestenford, found in the November/December 1998 issue number 71 of Dungeon Magazine. In it is another adventure that takes place in Frestenford. Sorry for the crudely drawn map, but I am trying to keep the player section of this video as spoiler-free as possible. Frestenford is a town surrounded by many hills. The player characters should relatively quickly and easily learn many of the geographical features nearby. So, basically, the L1 module is a sandbox adventure. At the time, a sandbox adventure was unheard of. Len's work underwent considerable editing and expansion at TSR. Even a new adventure locale was added where the player characters could fight against a reptilian cult. However, Lakofka refused all of the edits to his adventure. So, the edits and additions were reworked and redeveloped into its own adventure, which became known as the N1 Against the Cult of the Reptile God module. Frestenford and its surrounding areas are ruled by Baron Grellis and Baroness Fairwind. They also have a young adult daughter. The other important non-player character, or NPC, the player characters should learn about relatively quickly is the sorcerer Peltar. Of course, there are other NPCs, but I will stop here so as to not spoil the module further. Speaking of spoilers, I will now be discussing the module itself, and this video will contain spoilers. Unless you are a Dungeon Master who will be running this module for their players, or are a player who already played through this module and are watching this video for nostalgia purposes, I would suggest not to watch the rest of this video. Let me start off by saying that the L1 module really does not have a plot to it. More like it is a character development adventure, where the player characters establish their reputation for either good or ill. The real story starts in the L2 The Assassin's Knot module. I will try to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible for the L2 module and save it for when I do review it. But I do not think I will be too successful. Hence, consider this as a spoiler warning for the L2 module. Anyway, both modules assume the player characters gain a good reputation in Restenford. If, instead, they have a foul reputation, then, towards the end of the L1 adventure, have one of the villains of the L2 module contact and contract the player characters for deeds most foul. If they refuse, then have the foul deeds done anyway, and they will be set up as patsies. Just like Oswald was set up as a patsy for the murder of JFK. Displayed is the map of Restenford found in the module. A better map can be found from the internet, but it is in French. Parlez-vous français? So, wait a minute while I translate this to English. And voila! Here it is in English. Restenford is meant to be a safe harbor and a base of operations for the player characters. A few townsfolk can be hired as henchmen, but most cannot. In Restenford, there are 2 taverns and 1 inn. Falco's tavern is operated by 2 dwarves. Falco is the owner, and Gap is his assistant. Gap is very skilled with darts. He will challenge patrons to a game of darts. Gap does not cheat in any way, but still gets a bonus to his rolls due to his skill in the game. Across the river is the Inn of the Dying Minotaur. A stuffed minotaur's head hangs on the wall behind the bar. Galkov, the innkeeper, claims to have killed it. Yeah, right. The Tavern of the West Wind is operated by 2 mages named Zelmar and Haki. The player characters are likely to be staying at one of these establishments. From these establishments, the player characters can hear a number of rumors, some true, some false, and some partially true. These rumors can also be obtained by interacting with NPCs throughout the town. In other words, the module provides ample opportunity for role-playing. One amusing but false rumor is rumor 69-70, where a person claims to have seen a woman riding on a nightmare. The module also provides a quick reference guide of the town. If you count up all the residents, you will find that Restenford has a total of 315 occupants. For the DM, that is quite a lot. I will now briefly discuss only the major ones. Let us start with the Baron and his family. Baron Grellis is a 7th level fighter. Baroness Fairwind is a 3rd level cleric. Baronet Andrella is a 2nd level magic user and is 18 years old. The DM can adjust their stats as well as the stats of any other NPC however he or she sees fit. The module describes Fairwind and Andrella as a bit haughty. The royal family are unlikely to give the player characters an audience until they gain a positive reputation. After the Baron and the Baroness, Peltar is 2nd in authority in Restenford. He is a 9th level magic user. Since Peltar becomes the player character's employer in the next module, it is important that they and Peltar have a few encounters in this module. Galpas, a 5th level fighter, is captain of the guard. and is loyal to the Baron and his family. His right-hand man is Relkin, a third-level fighter, and he is second in command of the guard. They are both usually found at the castle, but can also be encountered on patrol within the town along with other guards, or escorting the Baroness and/or the Baronet when they are going shopping in town. Qualton, a 6th-level cleric, is the head of the temple dedicated to the deity of Falcon, which is the only temple in town. Due to a psionic blast from an ill-fated encounter, Qualton has become schizophrenic. The L1 module states that if the DM plans to use the L2 module, then do not allow Qualton's schizophrenia to surface. In terms of authority, after the Baron and Baroness, Almex, a 7th-level druid, comes second after Peltar, the sorcerer. Okay, let's get back to our tour of Restenford. Let's start with its stone castle. Even though the module describes the castle in detail, it is not meant to be a site for adventuring or questing. However, the castle will play a more significant role in the next module. The buildings within the castle are 1 story high. To the main building, the Dungeon Master may want to add 1 upper floor, and move the Baron's family rooms up to that level. The castle has 23 occupants, including the Baron and his family. That figure also includes 11 guards and 9 servants. The castle grounds include a garden for growing foodstuff and a garden for growing flowers. Both gardens are tended to by the Baroness and the castle's servants. The castle also includes a barn and a guardhouse/barracks. The throne room is located in room number 11. Atop a broad dais are 2 thrones, one for the Baron, the other for the Baroness. Behind and to the sides of the thrones are 2 more chairs, one for the Baronet, the other for Peltar. Speaking of Peltar, Circular Tower number 8 is his to do whatever he wants with it. The one thing I find out of place is the Captain of the Guard's room, which is room number 15 on the map. The stairs in the room lead down to the castle's prison cells. Gelpas is married to Marie, who works as a servant in the gardens. I do not think any wife would like to live and sleep in a room that also serves as an entranceway to a prison. Hence, I would move Galpas's room into one of the guest rooms, or have the entranceway moved to the guardhouse instead. In the castle's lower level, room numbers 6, 9, and 11 each have a stone guardian. Stone guardians made their debut to D&D in this module. Room number 8 is the Baron's treasure room. 10 feet or 3 meters up is an illusion of a ceiling. Beyond it is a loft where the Baron's treasure is stored. Within a secret compartment of a 1.2 meter tall obelisk in room number 13 is a deck of many things. Because the deck of many things can be so game-breaking, I would remove it and have something else in its place in the compartment instead. Building number 21 is Peltar's Manor. He has 3 students living with him. Building number 35 is the home of Druid Almex and his family. Almex is married to an elf mage, and they have a half-elf son. In a grove behind his home, Almex has a fountain of good health. It is protected by snares at its entrances. Despite what the module writes, I would have this fountain a well-kept secret by Almex and his family. Building number 16 is the Abbey of Falcon, and building number 17 is the Rectory. Here, Abbot Qualton, 4 clergy, and 8 acolytes reside and hold services. Unless you are planning on using the L5 module, building number 30 can seem like a throwaway. This building is a bait shop, and Zardal, the bait dealer, appears poor and dirty, but really is a third-level illusionist, and is a sneaky spy for the Duke of Croton. By the way, Nebob, who is the Duke of Croton, is the Baron's sovereign. Also, the town of Croton lies far to the northwest of Restenford. Okay, the last significant area in Restenford to cover is the Burnt Guard Station, which is building number 32 on the map. Stories of giant rats coming out from the Burnt Guard Station are known by all the townspeople. Due to fear of being poisoned by the rat's bite, the townsfolk avoid the building. As a dungeon master, have the Baron or Peltar post notices at the inn and taverns, offering a reward for clearing out the area of rats. The real danger lies in the secret cavern complex below the burnt station. In cavern number 6 are 2 skeletons and a ghoul. What I find funny is that there is a chest here with 2 potions of gaseous form inside of it. Trying to open the chest or pick its lock will cause one of the potions inside to spill, making the whole chest and its contents gaseous for 2 hours. There are a few more skeletons and ghouls in this cavern complex. The giant rat's nest is in cavern numbers 13 to 18. Okay, time to move on and leave Restenford. Pictured is the wilderness map found in the module. The YouTuber Seth Skorkowsky did a color version of the map in his video review of the L1 module. Link to his video will be in the description section below. As you see, this color version is more pleasing to the eyes. Farms of various crops mixed in with apple and cherry orchards can be found at the base of Bald Hill. To the north of Bald Hill are the Zerbal Mountains. Towards the bottom of its southern slope is a hidden cave where a band of orc thieves operates out of. You can have the Baron or Peltar or Almex post bulletins for finding and eradicating the orc thieves. Dwarmore Forest is a mix of different types of trees. Atop a knoll within the forest is an egg-shaped building called the Church of the Big Gamble. In charge are Priest Faldelock and Priestess Auburn. This cult also has 4 additional clerics. The area of Garden Peak, Lark Hill, High Top, Low Point, and Ready Forest are often used as campgrounds by travelers. No, not that type of travelers. The module has 4 non-player characters that can be encountered here. Each can be hired as a henchman. The areas of Pebble Hills, Tritop, Calman Woods, and Spring Glade are occupied by wolves and a band of gnolls. Independent wolf packs can be encountered in the Calman Woods. The gnolls lair on Tritop, where their 6 stone hut dwellings can be found. When the player characters gain a level or 2, have the Baron or Peltar post a bulletin calling for the removal of the gnolls from the area. And at last we reach Bone Hill, the module's namesake. This part of the module is meant to be the finale of the module. Bone Hill is a dangerous place, one that starting level adventurers ought to avoid until they have gained sufficient experience to tackle its horrors. It is a weird place. During the day, bugbears roam about it, but at night they cede control of it to the undead. If the player characters are foolhardy enough to go to Bone Hill before they are ready or high enough level, then the Dungeon Master should show mercy and allow them to run away. Run away! Love that line from the Monty Python and the Holy Grail movie. Bone Hill itself is over 1,400 feet, or 426 meters high. On top of it is the remains of a ruined castle. The hill itself is rocky, with wild grasses and shrubs growing around its base, but the vegetation gets thinner and sparser the higher up you go on the hill, till eventually there is no vegetation near the top of the hill. During the day, the ruins' upper levels are guarded by bugbears. Working with the bugbears is an evil 6th-level mage called Telvar. At night, the ruins are run by the undead. The dead forest is devoid of mammals and birds, but does have insects and snakes. Along with skeletons and zombies, ghoul sturges can be encountered as wandering monsters on the hill or in the forest. Ghoul sturges are just like sturges, but their sting can cause paralysis. Within the lower levels of the ruins is a wraith, who is meant to be the final boss of the module. The wraith and Telvar on occasion work together. The wraith was once a mighty, evil warlord who worshipped an archduke of hell and struck a deal with a powerful devil. His minions and henchmen have been turned into skeletons and zombies. On the ground level of the ruins, in a few places the player characters will find scorched earth, marking the use of Fireball. A small clan of bugbears lair in the castle ruins. How many are in each area is displayed on the map as a number. The clan are led by 2 bugbear shamans, who are 4th-level clerics. Chambers O and P are their lairs. If the alarm is raised, the bugbears will take up defensive positions in chambers J and K. Telvar can usually be found in chambers V, W, or Z. Chamber V is his bedroom, which, unlike the rest of the castle, has been repaired and refurbished. Chamber W is his workshop. Chamber Z is his observatory, used by him to make astrological observations. Also, in a few areas, are a number of skeletons. Not all will animate. The combatant skeletons will, at first, play dead in order to surprise trespassers. How many skeletons are in each area is displayed on the maps as red numbers. Likewise, how many zombies are in each area is displayed on the map as purple numbers. Skeletons and zombies are not the only undead that can be encountered in the ruins. 3 ghouls and a ghast lair in Chamber AA. Chamber AH was an old temple. The statue of a fire giant will animate and throw a hammer at a player character. The hammer will then return to the statue's hand to be used again. This animation is an illusion. Having an underground temple instead of one that is above ground, to me, suggests something nefarious. Instead of a statue of a fire giant, I would have a statue of an Archduke of Hell in its place. During the day, the Wraith will be in chambers AF and AG. If combat is not going in favor of the Wraith, it will flee to the lower caverns below. The entrance to cavern BE is blocked by rubble. On the opposite wall is a mirror of opposition. A character will be drawn into the mirror upon seeing his or her reflection. This person will then materialize on a flat plane with an endless horizon in all directions. At a distance opposite the character is a hostile exact duplicate of him or herself. In cavern BG are 2 spectators and 1 infant spectator. the spectator monster makes its debut to D&D in this module. Caverns BI, BJ, and BK are the Wraith's main lair, and will make its last stand here. These caverns have a minor connection to the negative plane. Protection from evil, bless, chant, prayer, and curse will not function in these caverns. While in these caverns, the Wraith will regenerate 1 hit point per round. Metal will glow a faint blue, hence giving away the position of any invisible character who is carrying or wearing metal. The Wraith can summon any surviving skeletons and zombies to come to his aid. And so ends my walkthrough of the L1 module. I will now give some suggestions to further connect it to the other modules in the L series. Originally, Lakofka probably had in mind an agent of an Archduke of Hell to be the main villain and the final boss in the L series. In the L3 module, the villain is an agent of Beelzebul. In the L5 module, the villain is an agent of Asmodeus. Actually, Lakofka uses Greyhawk's Sul pantheon of deities for his Lendore Isles campaign setting. So, in the L5 module, Asmodeus can be replaced with Cyril, the mistress of secrets and teller of lies. In any case, if the Dungeon Master plans on running the L series, he or she should place some items, such as a journal, an idol, and/or correspondence between the agent and the Wraith in the Wraith's lair that foreshadow a bigger campaign is ahead for the player characters. The L2, the Assassin's Knot module, mainly takes place in the village of Garotan and its surrounding wilderness. Mr. Lakofka pronounces it as Garotan. I like to call it Garotan, so I will use that from now on. To better connect the L2 module, the Dungeon Master should plant some foreshadowing seeds into the L1 module. Here are a few of my suggestions on how to do so. Through rumor, have the player characters learn that Garotan has a bad reputation. Have them hear the phrase, "If you want someone killed, go to Garotan." When the player characters are heading to the Abbey of Falcon, have them meet Priest Harper. Harper is a high priest of the Church of Osprem in Garotan. Osprem is the goddess of the seas and of water travels. Priest Harper is an old man and carries a golden holy symbol, which is of a whale with red ruby eyes. When the player characters are visiting the distillery or the wine and ale shop, have them meet Abraham. Abraham is Garotan's innkeeper and is in Restenford to buy a few barrels of beer. He wears a distinctive red vest with ornate red buttons. Playing at an inn or tavern, have the player characters meet Balmaro, a bard and owner of Garotan's theater. He has and plays a lute with golden strings. When the player characters are heading to the castle, have them see Lady Arness with her troop of guards leaving the castle. Lady Arness is the mayor of Garotan. Tell them they see a noticeable sour look on her face. Have them see a man in cleric robes riding beside Lady Arness. This man is Tellish and is Arness's right-hand man. Then have them see Tellish break off from the troop and head towards Restenford's Abbey. Or instead, have them meet Tellish at the Abbey. Have the player characters meet other Garotan NPCs who are visiting Restenford, such as Wilfong gambling at an inn or tavern, or at the Church of the Big Gamble. I always wondered what the front cover art of the module depicted. Because it looks like the zapped character is about to cast Fireball, most likely it is a mage character casting lightning bolts on the evil mage Telvar. Two new monsters make their debut to D&D in this module. They are the Stone Guardian and the Spectator. The Bonehill module introduces the Stone Guardian, which is basically a weaker version of the Stone Golem. Unlike a Stone Golem, a Stone Guardian cannot cast slow spell. Also, a Stone Golem has more defense buffs than a Stone Guardian. The L1 module also introduces the Spectator, which is a weird beholder-like being. Unlike a beholder whose central eye acts as an anti-magic ray, a spectator's central eye reflects offensive magic spells, such as lightning bolt, fireball, etc., back to the caster. Its other four eyes have the following powers: create food and water, cause serious wounds, paralysis, and telepathy. Roll credits. Displayed are the credits found within the module itself. Within the November/December 1998 issue number 71 of Dungeon Magazine is an adventure called Priestly Secrets. The adventure takes place a few years after the events of the L1 and L2 modules. A review of this adventure is now on my to-do list. I have a confession. I ran the L1 and L2 modules pretty badly. Decades ago, I ran modules like Dungeon Crawls, and I did not grasp the concept of the role-playing aspects of modules. Together, the L1 and L2 modules are a good example of a plot-driven adventure. Hopefully, I have learned from my blunders since then. The Bonehill, Village of Hamlet, and Keep on the Borderland modules are well suited as starter modules for a campaign. Because the module is designed like a sandbox, the Dungeon Master is free to, and encouraged to, fill in details and add encounters, dungeons, and quests to it. I like this module and think it is an excellent D&D adventure. Thank you for watching. Hope this video has been informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. I do like feedback. Till next time, this is RPGmodsFan saying cheers, have a good day, and goodbye.
I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. Realize there must be more to life than this. Reaching for the stars, traveling so far, like a dragonfly. Just grab my hand from him, send with me tonight. I'm on the road. Forget the past, but what counts is our brand new start. Even if it hurts me or I get scared,